Hello, friends, and a very warm welcome to JC Academy. Guys, in these challenging times, it's very difficult for us to keep focused and then keep moving. Therefore, the saying by Mr. Winston Churchill is very apt, as in today's scenario, that if you're going through hell, you should keep moving. Because only if you keep moving, you'll be able to get out of hell, right? Because if you see the uncertainty of the government examinations and other public sector examinations is there, and none of us is having clarity as to when the examinations would happen or when we will be getting a chance to, get a job, right? So in these uncertain times, what we have decided is that to help you keep abreast with the changes happening around you, to help you move ahead, we have bought a practice session, and in the practice sessions we will be taking up a lot many topics, right? So every day we will be having a session in which we'll be practicing the questions on all those topics. The topics that we will be covering would be these. We'll be doing simplification, we'll be taking up approximation, we'll be taking number series, we'll be taking averages, we'll be taking ratio and proportion, we'll also be taking up mixtures and allegations, we'll be taking questions on partnership, we'll be taking problems on ages, percentage, profit, loss, and discount. What next? We'll be taking up simple interest, compound interest, time, work, and wages. We'll be also be taking up pipes and cisterns, speed, time, and distance. We'll also be taking up questions on trains, cars, and races, boats and streams, quadratic equations and inequalities, data interpretation, caselets, permutation, combination, probability, and data sufficiency and mensuration. So that's pretty much the entire syllabus for any bank or an insurance entrance examinations or any MBA entrance examinations for that particular matter, right? The idea is to help you keep in touch with these topics so that we can, along with the practice, we can brush up the concepts and the tricks wherever applicable. So let's get started with the very first session of this video series, that is simplification. We'll be doing part number one. I've taken up 10 questions which are basically based around a similar concept of handling numbers more efficiently. So with the help of these 10 questions, you're going to solve each one of them, and as and when we progress in the video, you're going to take up the concepts related to all of the questions, concepts related to these questions, right? Let's have a look at question first. What will come in place of the question mark in the following questions? We're supposed to understand what will come in place of the question mark. So this is basically a simplification question. So now, as you can see, this is a simple addition and subtraction question, right? So either you do it like this, as in you've been doing. So you could subtract 1852 from 6642, and then further subtract 2864 from the remaining amount, from the remaining number, or you can perform these calculations in a single shot. Let me explain you how you can go about and do this in a single shot. Please pay attention. See, I am subtracting 28641852 from this particular number. So what we can do is we can start from the digits in the units place and then move ahead towards left and take digits in the tens place, hundreds place, and the thousands places, right? So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to add them with their sign. So if we adding them with this sign, what does that mean? This means that if you add minus 4 and minus 2, it is minus 6. Minus 6 and plus 2 is minus 4. So we cannot write minus 4 over here. See, try and understand. If I have to subtract 6 from 10, I can write for only 4 once because I've carried this 1 over here, right? We cannot subtract 6 from a 0. So it is obvious that we'll be borrowing something, right? So if you are having minus 4 as of right, and you know, put a number over here in the units place, you have to carry 1. So 1 carried from the next place value gives me 10. So 10 minus 4 will give me how many? 6, right? But since you've already borrowed 10, so the next calculation will start with minus 1. Why? Because you already borrowed a 1 from the neighboring number, right? So minus 1 and minus 6 is minus 7. Minus 7 and minus 5 is minus 12. Minus 12 and plus 4 makes it minus 8. So we have minus 8 with us. So again, we cannot write minus 8 over here. So we again borrow 10 and then we have 2 over here. So 10 minus 8 is 2. So as you can see, we have borrowed 1 over here. So we have to start the next calculation with minus 1. So now you can clearly eliminate the irrelevant options. So two of them get eliminated, right? Next calculation starts with minus 1. So minus 1 and minus 8 is minus 9. Minus 9 and minus 8 is minus 17. Minus 17 and minus 6 is minus 11. Now, if you borrow 10 from the neighboring number, that won't solve the purpose, right? Because 10 minus 11 would be minus 1. You want a positive value. So you can either borrow 1 or 2 or 3 from the neighboring place value, which means that if we borrow 1, we'll get 10. If we borrow 2, we'll be getting 20. So to have to subtract 11, we'll have to borrow 2. So we borrow 2 and we have 20. So 20 minus 11 is 9. So the next digit that comes over here is 9. Right? So 926. So 926 and 926, both of them are fitting the bill. We have to move further, but this time we start counting with minus 2. Why? Because we've borrowed 2 from the neighboring number, right? So minus 2 and minus 2 is minus 4. Minus 4 and minus 1 is minus 5. 6 and minus 5 is 1. So 1926 happens to be the correct answer, option number 1. So that's how you can approach such questions and you can get on to the answers, right? Now, this technique is very much usable and very much friendly because majority of times you'll be getting questions in a horizontal pattern, not in a vertical pattern. So the numbers which is supposed to add or subtract, will be getting them in a horizontal and not a vertical manner. So that's why adding them like this horizontally makes it more easier. And you can simply write down the digits on the piece of paper that you'll get while attempting the questions in an examination, right? Let's have a look at this question now. Now it's an easy one. So question mark of 7 by 8 of 1 by 3 of 2 by 7 is equal to 12. So we can simply cancel out 7 with 7. 2 goes into 8 4 times and 4 threes are 12. 4 threes are 12 when they come on the right hand side. We'll have 12 into 12. So 144 is the answer. Now you have to be very careful with off. Now you should be aware of the BODMAS. So the BODMAS concept says that you're starting with brackets and then off, then divide, then multiply, and then they add and then subtract. When it comes to bracket, you have to start with the smallest, that is the bar bracket, then the smaller brackets, then the curly brackets, and in the last, you will be using the box brackets. One most common mistake that the students makes is the usage of off. I'll give you an example. So if I say 200 divided by 10 of 5. So 200 divided by 10 by 5. So if we have divide used first, 200 divided by 10 would be 20, and then 20 of 5 would be 100. But this would be the wrong answer, right? Why? Because when BODMAS is there, he's supposed to calculate off first. So 200 divided by 10 of 5 is 50. So the correct answer would be 4 over here and not 100. This is the common mistake that most of us make. So I'm just reminding you of that, right? Let's move on to the next question. Now, this is an easy one. Why? Because 4 to the power of 5 multiplied by 4096 upon 16 into 2 to the power of 8 should be equal to 4 to the power question mark divided by 64 into 16 to the power half. So what we can do is we can convert everything to the power 4. So on the left hand side, what do we have? We have 4 to the power 5 multiplied by 4096. So 4096 is 1024 into 4, right? Oh, if you can remember, 1024 is 2 to the power of 10, which is 2 to the power 2 to the power 5 multiplied by 4. So 4 to the power 6 is what you're looking at over here. If you can somehow remember 2 to the power 1 up to 2 to the power 10 and then 3 to the power 1 up to 3 to the power 10, it becomes a lot easier for you to work out. Upon 16, so upon 16 is 4 to the power 2 multiplied by 2 to the power of 8. So the 2 to the power of 8 will be equal to 4 to the power 4. Why 2 square and then to the power of 4? So 4 to the power 4 over comes over here. Now we will leave on the right hand side 4 to the power question mark as it is. And this 64, the denominator comes over here and becomes a numerator, and 64 becomes 4 to the power 3. And this 16 to the power 1 by 2 is equal to root 16, and root 16 is 4. So this 4 from the right hand side, when it comes to the left hand side, becomes 4. So 4 to the power 2 and 4 to the power 1 collectively become 4 to the power 3. So we get this cancelled. So what we left with is 4 to the power 5 multiplied by 4 to the power 6 multiplied 4 to the power 4. So 5 plus 6, 11, and 4, 15. So instead of question mark, we'll have 15 coming over here, right? I'll write it over here. Instead of question mark, you'll have 15 coming over here. I hope you understood this, because anything, say if I have a to the power of x multiplied by a to the power of y will give me a to the power of x plus y, right? So this is what is actually we're looking at. Let's move on to the next question, which says 27% of a certain value, then of a certain value, then of a certain value, and then this. So let's see how we can solve this. So we have with us, what do we have? We have 27% of 5 by 8, of 1 by 9, of 125440 should be equal to 565 upon 15 multiplied by 1215 upon 45 plus x. Now, since you've got too many numbers, so whenever we have numbers and numerators and denominators, it's pretty much sensible to check on the divisibility rules, right? And you should be very quick with the divisibility rules. If you can cancel numbers and you can find out the number that are divisible with each of these numbers, it becomes a lot easier. So 565 cannot be divided by 15, right? So we need to solve this chunk first, this chunk, and then subtract this part from this, and we get the x, right? Because you're using BODMAS over here. So 565 is not divisible by 15, but 1215 is. So 15 eights is 120 carried over 181. Now 81 and 45 both can be divided by 9 and 5 respectively, and this 5 can in turn divide this 1 3 times, right? So on the right hand side, what do we have? We have 113 into 9. Let's see what do we have on the left hand side. So 9 goes in 27 3 times, and this the last three digits are 440, so they ought to be divisible by 8. The divisibility rule for 8 says that we need to check only the last three digits. So 440, it is divisible by 8, so it will be divisible by the entire number would be divisible by 8, right? So 8 15 eights is 120 carried over 5, 8 6 are 48 carried over 6, and 8 0 over here, right? So we've got 15680 over here, 3 upon 100, and then 5 goes into 120 times, and then we cancel 0, and then we cancel this by, say, how much was this? 2. Okay, it's 2. So 784. So what do we have? We have 3 into 784 minus 113 into 9. 113 into 9, and this should be equal to x. As simple as that. So let's multiply. So 3 fours are 12 carried over 1, 24 and 125 carried over 2, 21 and 2 is 23, and 113 into 9, it's pretty easy. 900. 100 into 9 is 913. 9s is 117. Is that the case? So 12 minus 7 is 5, and 3. So that's 900 now, so this is 0. 113 into 9, so 100 into 9 is 900, and 39 is 117, so 1017, my mistake. 3 over here and then 3 over here, so 1335. We have an option. Yes, option number 5 is the correct answer, right? So if you can do some of the calculations into head by multiplying these two, you can write the value directly over here. You can also break the number into two parts and then multiply. Whatever is suitable depending on the numbers you have makes more sense, right? Let's have a look at this one. So 4624. So if you are aware that a root of 4624 is equal to 68, if you can recall, that's good enough. But if at all you fail to understand, fail to recollect that the value for root 4624 would be how much, I'm going to give you a small hint. Now, square of 60 is 3600, right? And square of 70 is 4900, right? We're trying to figure out the square root of a number which is between 3600 and 4900. So it is obvious the square root of this number would be in the range of 60 to 70. Then we focus on the last digit, which is 4. Now this last digit can only be obtained if the number was 62 or 68. Why? Because 2 twos are 4 and 8 eights are 4, will be giving the same last digit, right? Now, since the range is between 60 and 70, and we're supposed to find the last digit has to be 4, so we left with only two options. So what do we do? So what you can think of is, okay, fine. If this is the square of 60 and if this is the number, the gap between these two numbers is much more than the gap between these two numbers. So this number is closer to 4900 and then in comparison to 3600. So what does that mean? This means the square root of this number is gonna be closer to 70 and not 60. So of these two, this number happens to be closer to 70. So for this we can write as 68 plus under root of a question mark plus 12 minus 43 is equal to 137. So this 143 goes over here, makes it 180, right? And 68 and 12 is again 80. So we're making them into compatible pairs. I'm not adding 68 plus 12 and then minus 43. No, because to my eye, this pair is more easy to reconcile, and this is more easy to reconcile because the large digits, right? So 137 and 43 is 180 and 68 and 12 is 80. So 180 minus 80 is 100. So root of how much should be equal to 100. So that's a no-brainer. The answer would be 10,000. So option number 1 happens to be the correct answer over here, right? Let's move on to the next question. Now, this is again an interesting question because we have to use BODMAS over here and we have plus, plus, divide, multiply. So on the right hand side, you'll have to be careful with the BODMAS. On the left hand side also, as I've explained to you in the a few minutes ago, we have this and a multiply divide by symbol over here. So what we'll do is we'll treat this first. So this eventually becomes somewhat like this. So 689 into 6154 divided by 18% of 6. Now this entire set comes into the denominator. Why? Because we're treating this as 18% of 684 as one single value, right? The percentage to be removed, we need to put 100 over here, right? Now this should be equal to 28 into 250 divided by 8 plus x plus 4300. So this is what you should be looking at. This is what you should be visualizing, right? Now, so how do we move further? Now, on the numerators, you got these numbers. On the denominators, you got these numbers. So 689 is definitely not divisible by 684. 689 is definitely again not divisible by 18, but because it's an even number and we have an odd number over here. So our only hope is 6154. This is where we can crack the question. So we need to first check that whether this is divisible by 684 or not, or maybe whether this is divisible by 18 or not. So to check whether it is divisible by 18 is a lot more easier than finding it whether it is divisible by 684. Why? Because if 18, anything divisible by 18, if you have to check, you have to break the number into its two co-prime factors. So 18 divided into two co-prime factors would be 2 and 9. We can also divide it in 6 and 3, but since 6 and 3 won't be co-prime numbers, so it is sensible enough to divide this bigger number into two factors which are not having any common factor except 1. So the pair becomes a co-prime pair and the factors are co-prime factors. So if you need to check whether the number is divisible by 18 or not, what you have to do is you have to check that the number should be divisible by 9 as well as 2. So the number, if it is divisible by 9 and 2 both, it automatically becomes divisible by 18. So that's what you're going to check over here. And if this happens, we're going to divide the numerator by 18 now. So as you can see, 6 and 1 is 7. 7 and 9. Is it 6154? Yeah. 6156. Oh, that's the mistake. 6156, right? 6156. So 6 and 1, 7, 7 and 11 is 18, and 18 is divisible by 9. So which means that the number will surely be divisible by 18. Why? Because it is an even number and divisible by 9. So 18 threes is 54. We have 7 over here. 18 fours are 72 and 3 over here and 2. So 342 is what we have in the numerator, and 342 and 684, you can just clearly see this goes away 2 times, right? So this is it, and then we can divide this by 50. So on the left hand side, what do we have? We have 689 multiplied by 50. On the right hand side, now let's try and understand. 4 twos are and 4 sevens are, and this is 125. We have 125 into 7. 7 into 125 plus 4300 my plus x. So we take them on the left hand side and see what happens. So we have to multiply 689 into 50 first. So there's no need for you to multiply 689 into 50. So if you're supposed to do 689 into 50, you can rewrite it as 100 upon 2. So now this becomes a lot easier. So what I'm doing is I'm multiplying 689 by 100 and then dividing it by 2. So we can simply imagine 68900 and then divide it by 2. So 2 threes are 6, 2 fours are 8, 2 fours are 8, carried over 1, 5 and then 0. Got it? So what we've done is we've divided 68900 by 2. So 34450. Now this one, 125 into 7. So 125 into 8 is 1000. 125 into 8 is 1000. Anything multiplied by 8 is very easy. You double the number, and then you double the number again. Into 2, into 2, into 2 is what you're doing, right? So 125 into 8 is 1000. And since you're supposed to calculate it only 7 times, so 1000 minus 7 will be 875. So from this, we are supposed to subtract 875. We're also supposed to subtract 4300. And then we get x, right? So 4300 we can easily subtract. So 0 5 1. So 330150. This is from this, is supposed to subtract 875, right? So 5 over here and then a 7 over here and then a 2 over here and 2 9. So 29275. Option number 2 happens to be the correct answer, right? 29275. Let's move on to this one. So this is a little tricky one. Why? Because these are huge numbers, right? So we need to see how we can get along with these numbers, right? So we got this number, this is 35 into question mark, 372 into 28 and 19440. So what we can do is we can try and solve these three parts first. So from 189,820, we can solve these three values. So from 19440, we can first subtract. Let me correct this. So from 19440, we can subtract 189,820, right? So 0 to 14 minus 8 is 6, and 13 minus 9 is 4, and we've got two zeros over here. So 4620. And then we subtract this also. We add this rather, because this on the right hand side becomes added, right? So 22624. So 22624. So we have 4, 4, 12 carried over 1, 7, 2, 7, 244, right? So we have, what do we have? We have 35x minus 372 into 28. And this should be equal to 27244, right? So now as you can see, 35 is a multiple of 7, 28 again is a multiple of 7, and 27244, is it a multiple of 7? Let's check. So 7 3s are 21, carried over 6, 56, carried over 6. Yes, it is divisible by 7. So we can divide this by 7. So 5x minus how much? 372 into 4 should be equal to 7 3s are 21, carried over 6, 7 8s are 56, carried over 6, 7 9s are 63, carried over 1, and then 2. So 3892 over here. So so 5x should be equal to 3892 plus this much, right? So 4 2s are 8, 4 7s are 28, 8, then carried over 2, 4 and 14. So this is 0, carried over 1, 8, and then carried over 1 again, 13, 3, carried over 1 over 5380. So we have to divide 5380 by 5 to get x, right? So this will be 1076. So 1076, option number 3 happens to be the correct answer in this particular case. Slightly calculative, but if you have some patience and if you stick to it, you can actually get it done easily, not a big deal. Don't be bothered and don't be afraid of handling numbers. The more you practice, more confident you're gonna be, because this is where the stress levels are tested. When you are in a DI and in a PO level examination, or an examination which requires huge calculations, you're running short of time and then you have to do calculations. It is this kind of practice that's gonna come to your rescue. Trust me. Nothing else would. This kind of practice will come to your rescue. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, the next question says 44% of 1950 plus 82% of 250 plus 62% of x is equal to this much. So that's an easy one. Now let me explain you how do you calculate. So 44% of 1950. Now, as you can see, 10% is 195. So 10% is 195. 20% will be double of 195. So 20% would be double of 195. That will be 390. Then 40% would be double of 390. So 40% would be 390 into 2. So 39 2s is 780. Getting it? So basically what we're doing is we're multiplying 195 by 4. Alternatively, you can multiply 200 by 4. So 200 into 4 is how much? 800. And since this is 5 less than 200, you can subsequently reduce 20 later on. Either ways, whichever you find comfortable. So if 40% is 780, how much will be 4% be 78, right? So 8. So this becomes 858. So this part becomes 858. So we can write 858 plus. Now 82% of 250, that's a very easy crack. 80% is nothing but 4 by 5, right? So 4 by 5. So 250 into 4 by 5 will be 200. 200 plus 2%. So 1% is how much? 1% is 2.5. So 2% is going to be 5. So this will be 205. No brainers. 205 plus 62% of x will be equal to 7883. That's it. So what you're supposed to do is use from 7883, we're supposed to subtract this much, right? So 800 plus 200 is 1000. 1000 and 58 and 3 is 63. This is it. So 0, 2, 8, and then we have 6. So 82. So 62% of x is equal to how much? 6820. Let me clear this much. 6820. Right. So what do we do? Do we solve this any further, or can we see a number, right? Now, is this a number which is divisible by 11? Yes, 6 and 2 is 8, and 8 and 0 is 8. So if we divide this by 11, how many times it's going to go? So 11 6 are 66 and 620 times. So can we write this as 620 into 11? Yes. So this goes away 10 times. What we were left with 110. And this comes over here. So what do we get? We get 11,000 over here. Option number 5 happens to be the correct answer. So divisibility rule is the key and the highlight of today's video, right? Let's move on to the easier ones now. What is this talking? It's pretty easy one. So 12 into 13. So 16 square is 256 and 13 into 12 is 156. So we'll be left with 100 and 100 is the square of 10. So option number 1 happens to be the correct answer. Let's move on to the last question of the day, of the video rather. So it is 14% of 250 plus question mark percent of 150 is equal to 840. So we can say question mark percent of 150 should be equal to 840 minus 14% of 250. So 10% is 25, 1% is 2.5, and 4% would be 10. So 25 and 10, 25 and 10 is 35. So what we left with is 805, right? So 805. Oh, it's not minus. My mistake. My mistake. Pretty sorry. It's not minus. It's multiplied. So we're gonna divide, right? Hey, that was a pretty easy one. We unnecessarily did too many calculations, right? Let's have a look. Okay, so X percent of 150 would be 840 divided by this much. It's 35, right? So 7 fives are and 7 twelves are. So 120 upon 5 is 24. So how much percent of 15 would be 24? So 16% of 15 would be 24. 15 6 is 240, right? So option number 4 happens to be the correct answer. So I hope you're getting the hang of it and you're also trying to understand the importance of the ability to handle numbers, to churn numbers, to process them faster, some of them mentally and some of them with the help of some divisibility rules, right? If you happen to enjoy this video and if you want more such videos, don't forget to share, comment, and like this video. Other important information is given in the description link. You can also visit the website www.jcacademy.com for more videos, for more content, and for offers. Again, you can check out the description below. I'm gonna catch you up with the next video soon enough. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.